Good evening, everybody. We are live. How is everybody tonight? Can everybody see me and hear me and see the screen? Are we doing good? All right, cool. All right. Gonna give people another minute or so before I get into it. So we're gonna be doing something a little different tonight. A little bit of an experiment. And if people seem to like it, then we might do it more later in the off season. Okay. So we are having some technical difficulties right now. I don't think it's going to interfere with the stream, but it is going to make the experience lesser. And I don't know what happened. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and turn all the widget stuff off right now because I don't think any of it works. But Stream Elements is not working for me right now. Stream Elements is not working. So the overlay is gone. The widgets are gone. The trackers are gone. The YouTube viewer count thing was working a second ago, but now it's not. So I just got rid of it. Okay, maybe it is working. I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it up. It's not hurting anybody. But there are no widgets. No overlay. So sorry if anybody's disappointed by that, but I think we'll get through fine. Basically, the main loss is that there's no alert box. So if you sub, become a member, tip, or super chat, there's not going to be a pop-up. But I think we'll be fine with that. I'll try to figure out a solution later this week. But thought we'd go ahead and try something a little different because we're in the middle of the deadest part of the off season. Basically, we're going to do Tier Maker tonight, and if you've never done Tier Maker before, it's a website that makes it really easy to rank things in a way that is visually, graphically appealing and simple. So I thought it would be fun to do some football stuff, like ranking which teams have... Tonight, we're going to do which teams have the best running back rooms. And basically, I'm going to need you guys to help me rank this properly. That's the way this is going to go. I'm going to put together the list on stream, and we'll see where we end up. We got about 40 people in here. Not expecting a huge turnout or anything like that. This is kind of a niche thing, not even really a Seahawk thing. But we will be getting underway in a moment here. And like I said, if people seem to like it, then we may be doing it again in the future. So basically the idea is we're going to rank every team's running back room into one of 6 categories, right? And obviously everything is relative, but ideally we should have one, maybe as many as 3 teams in the elite, and then you have 1 to 3 teams in terrible. You've got great, you've got good, you've got average, you've got bad. In between those 2 rankings, pretty simple stuff. I think you guys kind of understand what those words mean. Elite would be one of the best running back rooms in the league without a significant hole. Great would be maybe the depth isn't completely there, or maybe they don't have a complete blue chipper, but it's still one. Most teams would certainly take their backfield. Good is just kind of you have positive feelings about it, but nothing too strong. Maybe they're lacking top end power. Maybe they're lacking depth. Maybe it's a situation where they have like one really, really awesome running back, but absolutely nothing noteworthy behind them. Average is just kind of like decent, passable, but lacking significantly in some way. And then you have bad, which is bad. And then terrible is just like bottom of the barrel. So Common sense does matter here. Obviously, the most important thing by far for a team's running back room is their top running back. Whoever is your number one running back is obviously going to be by far the biggest influence on whether or not your running back room is good or bad. And then you have your second string running back, which is significantly less important than the starter. Then your third string running back, which is significantly less important than the second stringer. And then your fourth string running back, which is not really important at all. Like very, very small consideration most of the time. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just get underway here. Uh, Stream's been on for about 10 minutes now, so let's go ahead and get underway here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to frame things properly. So we're going to start off with an elite running back room. And I'm going to just go ahead and pick the one that I believe is the best running back room in the league right now. I believe this team has the best running backs in the NFL right now. It is the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons have a blue chip rookie that we haven't seen, the likes of which we haven't seen in a pretty decent amount of time here. We are talking Saquon Barkley levels of hype around Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier, who is a 1,000-yard, 5-yard per carry running back from last year. Cordarrelle Patterson, who had almost 1,200 yards from scrimmage 2 years ago. Last year was doing good until he got hurt. Is getting old, but he's still, when he's out there, one of the best third down running backs in the NFL. And then fourth string, they have a guy named Caleb Huntley. I don't know anything about him, but it doesn't really matter that much. That is as good as it gets for running backs. I think I'm not really seeing anybody in the chat disagreeing. I don't know how you could disagree. I look blurry. Well, I don't really care if I look blurry because I'm just hiding here in the corner. Can you guys see the screen? If you can see the tiers, it's fine. I don't mind if I'm blurry. But Falcons are, I think, a clear number one for running backs. And to kind of frame it, I also want to pick a team that is in the terrible. That way we can get kind of an initial frame of reference. And to me, the team with the worst running backs in the NFL is probably another team in the NFC South. It's got to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost Fournette, so they got Rachaad White. Let me take a look here. Who I did like in the draft. Last year he had almost 500 rushing yards, but only 3.7 yards per carry. He did catch 50 passes, which is pretty good, over three or almost 3 passes a game. But did fumble 3 times, only scored 3 touchdowns. And that's your number one. Hey, everybody. They got Chase Edmonds. They got Chase Edmonds, a dude who's kind of been bouncing around the league lately. He spent some time in Denver and Miami last year. Had about 400 yards from scrimmage in 13 games. So he's a couple years removed from being a really key cog in that Cardinals offense. And then they got Keyshawn Vaughn. Not familiar with him. Let me take a look here. Keyshawn Vaughn. Okay, he's been like a small-time player in Tampa Bay for a little while now. He had 200 yards from scrimmage in 2021. That's about it. That's the best season he's got so far. So he's kind of a nothing player. Third round pick, though. I guess you can't completely bail on him yet. ESPN currently has Patrick Laird as their fourth string running back, and he's another guy who hasn't really done all that much. He was a decent receiving back for the Dolphins in 2019. So Tampa Bay, I think, has to be terrible. That's a pretty terrible running back room. They don't have anybody that's really done anything. except for Chase Edmonds, and Edmonds is a couple years removed from it being a really valuable piece. It's probably the worst, but at the very least, it belongs in the terrible. Okay. So, with that kind of framing reference, let's start going through alphabetically. You've got the Arizona Cardinals. Let's talk about the Cardinals running back room here, real quick. What do they have? James Conner. They still have James Conner. For some reason, I thought they lost him. They still have the. No, he's not the Terminator. John Connor was the Terminator guy. So let me see here. James Conner made the Pro Bowl 2 years ago, had 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year. I mean, he's only going to be 28 this year. He's missed a lot of games over the last several years, though. Man, I don't know. Is James Conner good? Is he like the good bad running back? Is he like the good bad running back? Satirically, Aaron, thank you for the 99 cents. Appreciate it. By the way, because there are no graphics on screen, if somebody tips, I'm going to manually look at the tip list and shout it out, same as usual. So just because you don't see the graphic pop up on screen doesn't really mean anything. Keontae Ingram, 6th-round pick. Okay, he had like 80 yards from scrimmage last year, so kind of a nothing player. They got Corey Clement. They got Super Bowl champion Corey Clement. But he's been anonymous for several years now. Yeah, he hasn't really done anything of note in the league since like 2018, so he's just kind of a passable third string running back. And then Tyson Williams, who's their fourth string. Okay, so my initial thought was that this running back room is terrible. I think it might actually just be bad. What do you guys think? Hey, satirically, Aaron. My day's going good, man. Okay, so I'm going to put the Cardinals in bad. Okay, Baltimore Ravens. Who do they have? I feel like all their running backs get hurt every year. Okay, they got J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is pretty good, I think. Let me see here. He is, when he's healthy, he's been fairly good. He had almost 1,000 yards from scrimmage in 2020, and then in 15 games. Last year, he only played 8 games. Not really a receiving threat, but very efficient with his running. Part of that is because of Lamar Jackson. But yeah, that's a pretty good start. You got Gus Edwards. I like Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Keaton. Oh, they got the Keaton Mitchell. That's the TCU guy, right? Man, okay, so average or good? Jim, try refreshing. There's not much of anything that I can do. On my end, it says everything's fine. So, I don't know. They don't really have a scat back, no. Justice Hill. What's Justice Hill? Let me look up Justice Hill here. I do kind of like Keaton Mitchell. Yeah, Justice Hill actually done a little bit in the NFL. Not terrible. I feel like Lamar Jackson makes these guys look better than they are. Is the thing, right? Like they're averaging 6 yards a carry, but you put them in a normal offense, it's more like 4.5. Is my thing. Added, I mean, oh man. All right. I'll go with good for now, but I may move them down to average later, depending on what happens with the rest of these. Okay, Buffalo Bills. Okay, they lost Singletary, I think, right? So they got James Cook. who I like, but he's not really like a full-time running back, is he? He had almost 700 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns last year. Not bad. But he's not really like a bell cow. You don't feel great about that. They got Damian Harris from New England. Let me look this up here. Damian Harris was good 2 years ago. Last year, I guess he missed most of or not most, but a good chunk of the season. He's pretty good. Latavius Murray, we saw him in Denver last year. He was serviceable-ish. And Naheem Hines is somebody who kind of got forgotten in Indy because they got Jonathan Stewart. But he's a really good receiving back. I feel like that's probably average, maybe bad. That's probably got to be average, right? Because you got James Cook, who's not really a bell cow back as the number one. Harris isn't bad as kind of an insurance policy, though. I don't know. It might be good because of the Damian Harris signing. I'm going to go average, though. And maybe we'll move stuff around later depending on how we feel about some of these other teams. All right. So the list is starting to take shape here. Let's take a look at the Carolina Panthers here. Okay, they signed Miles Sanders. They got Chuba Hubbard. And then they kind of don't really have anything. They lost that fun running back they had last year that had 1,000 yards. Donta Foreman. So Miles Sanders, how old is he? He's only 26, and he made the Pro Bowl last year. Wow, wow, he is useless as a receiver. Averages less than 4 yards a catch. That's hard to do. What has Hubbard done so far? Let me look this up here real quick. I remember kind of wanting him in the draft a little bit, but obviously he's been actually pretty decent amount of production. I'd say that's probably pretty good, yeah. And then the thing is, they got no real depth. Like their number three guy, Raheem Blackshear. I've never heard that name before. Let me make sure I'm not just like missing the boat with this guy. No, he didn't really do anything last year. He had like 150 yards from scrimmage. And then Spencer Brown. There are two Spencer Browns in the NFL right now. Yeah, he hasn't done anything either. So I don't think they can be great. Well, are they good? Are they great? Because the thing is, Miles Sanders was really good last year. Granted, he was playing with Jalen Hurts. It's interesting, right? Because Jalen Hurts might have inflated Miles Sanders' value, but Hubbard's been pretty decent. I guess I'd say good. Yeah, let's go with good. Maybe I'll change that later, like I said. Okay, Bears. The Bears have Donta Foreman, the guy we were just talking about. They got Herbert. Let me make sure I have their depth chart right here. Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. And Travis Homer, by the way. So one of my favorite running back rookies, Donta Foreman, Travis Homer, Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert last year, he was good. Granted, Justin Fields makes him look better than he is. Dude, are the Bears like great? Okay, I mean, let's think this through here. Donta Foreman, who played really well last year for the Panthers. Herbert seems like a really underrated running back. And Roshan Johnson. That's a really great that might be great, man. Maybe I'm overselling it a little bit, but there's very low mileage on Donta Foreman too. He only really got significant work last season and a little bit the year before. That might be a great running back room, honestly. I'm thinking I'm putting them in great. Okay, Bengals. Have the Bengals cut Joe Mixon yet? I forget. Everyone says they're going to, but they haven't yet, have they? For the moment, they have Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon wasn't great last year, I don't think. Come on, Kirby, get out of it. Uh, I mean, he's about to turn 27. Last year, he averaged less than 4 yards a carry. Still a pretty good receiving back. Um, hmm. They did get Chase Brown, who was one of the Combine Warriors this year. And then they got Travion Williams. Let me check this out here. Travion Williams. Yeah, he's just kind of a body. And then Chris Evans. They got Captain America. He's just a body. Ah, interesting. So the Bengals have Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, Travion Williams, Chris Evans. If they cut Mixon, that's probably terrible. But for the moment, Mixon is there. But Mixon didn't play that well last year. He's playing in an elite offense and he didn't even average 4 yards a carry. I do like Chase Brown, and then behind them they've got nothing. So I think that's just going to be average. I feel like that's just average. Good if Mixon stays, bad if he leaves. I don't think Mixon is worth 2 tiers anymore. I don't think he's all that. And if Mixon leaves, they're probably terrible, right? Like that's as a really bad running back room, right? Gotta be. Okay, now we've got the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league. PFF's number one. And then backing him up right now, they have Jerome Ford. Let me see who Jerome Ford is. Oh, he's a kick returner, basically. He carried the ball 8 times last year. Not really a running back. There is Demetric Felton Jr. I remember him. I think he played at UCLA. Yeah, I remember this guy. He's not really a running back either. He's a wide receiver who occasionally lines up as a running back. And then they got, wow, so the Browns kind of have nothing behind Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb is so good. Huh. Let me see. What did Chubb do? Yeah, Chubb, 1,500 rushing yards, another 240 on through the air. Man, this is interesting, right? Because, man, they have nothing behind Nick Chubb. They have 3 warm bodies. I don't know if they're great. Man, that's so weird, right? They have Nick Chubb, but how can it be a great running back room when they have literally nothing of real interest behind him except for Felton, who is interesting because he's a wide receiver? Kareem Hunt's not there anymore. Also, Chubb is turning 28 later this year, and he does have a lot of touches. Over 1,300. That's kind of the danger zone for running backs. So I'm going to put them in good, as weird as that feels. They might have the best running back in the league, but I think they're just good because they have nothing going on behind them. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys. So this is going to be fun. Where did Kareem Hunt go? Kareem Hunt is still a free agent. Yeah, he is durable, Green Earth. But the thing with Chubb is that he's got a lot of miles on him. Yeah, Pollard's hurt. So they got Malik Davis, Rojo, and Deuce Vaughn. Is that is that terrible? Because Pollard almost certainly won't be ready for the start of the season, right? Like Pollard's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season is the problem. Because the thing to understand about this tier list, it's just for this one season. It's not long term. Let me see what's going on with Tony Pollard's rehab. Okay, they're saying he's going to be ready. Pollard, and then you have Malik Davis, Rojo, and Deuce Vaughn. I guess that's average, right? Because it's not like Tony Pollard is Derrick Henry either. I don't completely hate that depth, but it's not like Pollard's a superstar, right? He had 1,000 yards rushing and was a good receiver last year. So I'm going to say that's average. Assuming Pollard's healthy, I think that's average. Okay, Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, they're getting Javonte Williams back, although his injury was so bad. Who knows what he's going to do this year? And then behind him, they have Samaji Perine, who I like. Man, he's been around a while now. He's 28, but he's always been a pretty productive, like third down back, backup running back. Mass, they're saying that the rehab for the injury that he had was 3 months. So that means he'll be back in time for training camp. Okay, so Samaji Perine, nice backup. They got Tony Jones Jr. Anybody remember him? And then they got Tyler Batty. That's got to be a fake name. That's like a stage name. Tyler Batty. Okay, he hasn't done anything. He's caught one pass in his career. If Javante was 100%, that's definitely great. But I think they're just good, right? Because Javante's injury, the nature of that injury is such that he could kind of be not that good this year. He needs a year to get back to where he was. That seems very possible to me. I'm gonna say good. I can't put them great until I see Javante at 100%. Okay. Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the most exciting rookies in the league, overdrafted but still a worthy first round pick. And then they've got David Montgomery, who had a really nice 4 year run as a Bears running back. Um, Not very efficient, but productive for sure. And also a half decent receiver. So he's good. You got Craig Reynolds. Wait, isn't Craig Reynolds a receiver? No, that's Josh Reynolds. Okay, Craig Reynolds, kind of just a guy. Hasn't done a lot. And Jermar Jefferson. Why do I know that name? Did he play at a Jermar Jefferson? Oregon State. Yeah, I remember him from Oregon State. He hasn't done much either. Yeah, Jamal Williams left. He went to the Saints. I'm gonna say Just for this one season, I think that's got to be great. Yeah, they got to be great. I don't think they're elite. They don't have supreme depth, and they don't have like a proven Derrick Henry guy, but Gibbs should be really good and Montgomery's productive. That's actually a nice combo, by the way, right? Because you've got Gibbs who's really, really fast, and then you've got Montgomery who's more of a bruiser. I don't love Montgomery the way some people do, but he's pretty good. So I'm going to put them in great. It's like the lower end of great, but I do think they're great. Okay, Green Bay Packers. So they still got Aaron Jones starting. How old is Aaron Jones now? Are we getting to the point where we're going to have to worry about him a little bit? Oh, he actually turns 29 this year, so kinda. Last year, though, very productive. Over 1,500 yards from scrimmage and 17 starts. So I would say that's pretty good. Not a lot of touchdowns for some. Oh, was he getting touchdown poached all year or something? So Aaron Jones still really good. Age is starting to become a little bit of a concern. AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon had almost 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year. Played the whole season. 7 touchdowns. That's as good of a 1-2 as you're going to find in the league. What do they have for depth? Patrick Taylor, just a guy. Lose Nicole the third. Pretty sure that's just a guy. Okay, yeah, he hasn't played yet. Anonymous. Packers, are they great or are they elite? That 1-2 punch is really good, but they don't really have a third guy, and Aaron Jones is starting to get old. So I'm thinking they're going to be great. I think Green Bay's great. Not elite quite. Would be elite if they kept Swift. They didn't think anything of Swift, though, Killer Kai. So I don't know. Like, they think the injuries are just not worth it with him. If the Packers had a third running back of, like, even a little bit of value, they would be elite, I think. Or if Aaron Jones was 26 instead of 29 this year, then I would put them in elite. Okay, Houston Texans. Houston Texans. Let me make sure I got their depth chart right here. Okay, they have Dameon Pierce, who was one of the best rookie running backs last year. What did he end up doing? Had about 1,100 yards from scrimmage in 13 games. Relatively efficient. Really nice. Devin Singletary, who never really did anything amazing in Buffalo, but he was solid. Had 4 solid years, so that's a nice 1-2 punch. They got Mike Boone, who I believe was on the Broncos last year, but he's just mostly been kind of a whatever player his whole career. And then Dare Ogunbowale, who is just kind of a guy, it looks like. Good for Houston. Hey, Hidden Hero, welcome. Houston might be great, honestly. Like, that's a really nice set of running backs. They just don't have a third guy. They're probably a little behind Green Bay. So I'm going to say they're good. I think that's about right. I think they're good. Dameon Pierce could really make a jump this year and drive them to great or elite by himself, I think. Indianapolis is up next, all right? Next up, we're ranking Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor, who was the best running back in the league a couple years ago, and then he got hurt last year, but he's still phenomenal. Yeah. So 2021, he had 2,200 yards from scrimmage almost and 20 touchdowns last year. Only played in 11 games, played on a really bad team when he did play, and he had about 1,000 yards. But that's a really good running back, and he's only 24. Then they've got Zach Moss, who wasn't everything that people were expecting in the NFL, but he's had his moments like Buffalo, and he was good in Indy last year. And they have Evan Hull, an interesting rookie who I actually liked during my scouting process. And Deion Jackson, he's probably actually he did good last year. So you know what? I think the Colts are elite. They got four guys who have done things, and they have a guy who's been the best running back in the league. They got Zach Moss, Evan Hull, Deion Jackson. That might be elite. I actually really like their depth, Darren Everest. That's good depth. Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, and Evan Hull. I think the Colts should go in the elite category. I'm surprised. I didn't think I was going to like them that much, and then I actually saw their depth. Yeah, that's got to be elite. They might be the second best running back room in the league after Atlanta. I think they're number two. Okay. Now we're going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have the French guy whose name I can't pronounce, Travis Etienne, who was good last year. Why did I not like him? I remember watching him and feeling like he sucked. But now I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, no, he definitely didn't suck. He had a really nice rookie year. He's young, should only get better. So they got that. And they got Tank Bigsby, rookie, who I was kind of sort of on. They got Jamichael Hasty, who has kind of just been a guy who occasionally gets the ball in the NFL. And they got Dearness Johnson, who I like as a fourth stringer, but he hasn't done anything in a couple years. He was pretty good in 2021 when he actually got the ball a little bit for Cleveland. ETN, ETN. Okay, thank you. So ETN's good, maybe even really good. I don't like their depth very much, though. So they might just be average. I don't know. They're either good or average. Yeah, I kind of think you're right, Green Earth. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I think scaling it. Well, let's see at the end. I think you're probably right, Green Earth, but let's see at the end. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to put Jacksonville in average. I don't like their depth, and Etienne isn't a. I don't feel the same way about him that I do about a guy like a Jonathan Taylor. Okay, now we have the Kansas City Chiefs, who have an interesting set of running backs. They got Isaiah Pachinko, who was good for them last year, rookie season. Gave them almost 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Jerick McKinnon, he's actually been in the league a while now. He's getting old. Probably doesn't have much left, but he's had a good career. And last year he was a good receiving back. They got the almighty bust, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has somehow gotten to play with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid and is still a huge bust. Somebody figure that one out. ETN. All right, thank you, Will. Clyde Edwards-Helaire still has potential, I guess, so that's worth something, but not a lot. And then they got LaMichael Pirine, who I don't think has really done anything in the NFL. Did okay in 2020 for the Jets, I guess, but hasn't played much lately. Are the Chiefs average? Like, you got to figure that offense helps them a little bit. They're probably average, right? They're not bad. I think they're just average. I'm putting them in average. Okay, the Chargers. Chargers. Is Austin Eckler holding out? Kansas City could be good, admittedly. I see some people saying that KC could be good, but I feel like they look better than they do. Okay, so to my knowledge, Eckler is holding out or could be holding out. I don't know what's going on there. But honestly, Eckler's getting up there, I think, isn't he? Eckler is 28. He does have about 1,200 touches. So, yeah, he might be kind of hitting the wall here soon. He's had his two best seasons of his career, including 100 catches last year. You got Joshua Kelly, Isaiah Spiller, and Larry Roundtree the third. So Joshua Kelly, he was kind of sort of okay last year, but nothing really stands out. Isaiah Spiller, hasn't he been in the league forever? Isn't he like 82? No, okay, this is a different player. But he hasn't done anything. And then Larry Roundtree. I think that's a bad running back score. Yeah, Larry Roundtree the third hasn't done anything yet either. So I'm going to say that's bad. I think that's probably just bad, right? It's not terrible because Eckler is good, but he is getting a little bit older. He's got a lot of mileage the last 2 years. He's not an elite running back. Okay, Rams. What do the Rams got at running back right now? Cam Akers did start coming on at the end of the season, right? Actually, I don't even know if they still have him. Yeah, they have Cam Akers still. Kyron Williams, who's that pass blocker from Notre Dame, I think, who is like really, really slow, but he's a good pass blocker. He was passable as a rookie, I guess. You got Zach Evans, unsigned draft pick, Ronnie Rivers. So even though Cam Akers looked better at the end of the year last year, this has got to be terrible, right? Yeah, this has to be terrible. I don't think Akers is enough to save them. It's not like he was that good last year. Oh yeah, you're right, Mass. Former Seahawk Ronnie Rivers. Yeah, I don't think Akers is enough to keep them out of terrible. I think they're terrible. Like Akers probably lost some of his ceiling to that injury still, even though he's playing better now. And they got nothing really going on of interest behind him. Like Kyron Williams is just a pass protector, and I think everybody knows it. Okay, Las Vegas Raiders. They kept Josh. They kept Josh Jacobs, right? Yeah, they still have Josh Jacobs. Zamir White, who was a Georgia running back for a few years. He didn't really do anything last year. I kind of like him, but Amir Abdullah's been around a while. Brandon Bolden's been around a while. Josh Jacobs. How old is Josh Jacobs now? He's only 25. Wow, he got the ball a lot last year. Oh boy. Okay, so Josh Jacobs had 2,000 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. Really good. Really, really productive. Maybe the best running back in the league last year. And then they do have some passable depth behind him, but it's like Amir Abdullah. I've waited for Amir Abdullah to break out, and it's never going to happen. Like, yeah, he's now 30. Yeah, he actually turned 30 today. Today is literally his birthday. And there's just nothing there. And then Brandon Bolden. God, he's been around, hasn't he? Yeah, never really done much. Actually, New England 2 years ago was a really good third down back. Is Josh Jacobs good enough to where we can call him great? That we can call him great just kind of on his head? And then we say that like Brandon Bolden's insurance. I think that's probably great. If they had a little more depth, they would be elite. So I'm going to say that's great. That's tough, though. Okay, Miami Dolphins. Wow. Okay, we got Raheem Mostert. I think we're familiar with that guy. He is now 31 years old. He was quite good last year. He doesn't have a lot of miles on him because he didn't play in a lot of seasons, but I don't know. That's not really what you want from your top running back, right? Well, Darren Everest, the Chargers are bad because Eckler has a lot of miles on him. He's not in a hyper elite running back. And I think most importantly, they have no depth. Like, I was looking at their backups and they kind of got nothing there. Yeah, so Mostert, kind of interesting. Jeff Wilson Jr. Wow, he just pulled in a bunch of former 49ers. Myles Gaskin, who's kind of been bouncing around the league for a while. Devon Achane, who was, I think, the fastest running back in the league, third round pick. He was good in college. But mostly just based on his speed, I think, more than anything else. I think the Dolphins are bad. Like, Mostert's their top back. He's old, injury prone. Jeff Wilson Jr. is just a scat back. Gaskin is just a body. I think they got to be bad in this area. I think they must have bad running backs. Speaking of bad, how about the Minnesota Vikings who just released Dalvin Cook? How about it? That's got to be pretty bad. Alexander Madison, who's actually been a pretty good backup in his career. They do have a viable backup, but he's never had more than 500 yards in a season, or 500 rushing yards anyway, so he's not proven as a bell cow. Not terribly efficient. The last 2 years, he's averaged 3.7 yards a carry. And then behind him, they have Ty Chandler, who basically didn't play, like, got touched the ball 6 times last year. Dwayne McBride, who's also a rookie, who's a seventh round rookie. The Vikings are the Vikings terrible? Because they don't have anybody there who can even pretend to be a bell cow. Like, I don't think Madison is a bell cow type running back. I think his efficiency will plummet if he gets like 250 carries a season. Vikings might be terrible. I think they are. With no Dalvin Cook. I feel like they are, man. Okay, Patriots. New England Patriots. What's their running back room look like? Ramonde Stevenson. Let me make sure I got my Stevenson facts right. Oh, he was good last year. 5 yards a carry, over 1,000 yards, 400 yards receiving. That's pretty good. Pierre Strong Jr. I remember liking him in the draft. He didn't really do anything last year, though. Wasn't Ty Montgomery that guy who fumbled the kickoff when he was on the Packers against the Ravens and didn't get Rodgers the ball back? Is that the same Ty Mont? And then Kevin Harris, that's whatever. Stevenson's actually pretty good. They cut James Robinson, yeah. So they're three-headed monsters like Pierre Strong Jr., Ty Mont, and then Ramondre Stevenson. But Stevenson's actually pretty legit. So I'm going to say they're good. I think that lines up. I think they're good. Okay, New Orleans Saints. What do they got going on at their running back position right now? Saints. All right, Alvin Kamara. What did he do last year? Because I feel like the cliff has to be coming for Kamara. Yeah, 4 yards a carry. The year before he had 3.7, not even 900 yards. Still a really productive receiver. So feels like the cliff has kind of already come for Kamara. You got Jamal Williams though. He was great last year. Yeah, he had 17 rushing touchdowns and 1,000 yards. He's also kind of getting older, and he doesn't have a ton of miles on him. So that's kind of a running back situation that should be okay. You got Kendre Miller, rookie. Since it's just for this year, that might be great. That's tough, though, right? That's difficult to judge because it feels like the cliff is coming for Williams and Kamara. And I get, yeah, Taysom Hill, but he's not a running back. He's a tight end. Come on, guys, get it right. He's a fullback. Get it right. Okay. All right. I'm going to put them in great. I don't feel amazing about it, but I'm going to put them in great. If Kamara, well, oh, okay. Do we know for a fact that Kamara is going to get suspended? If that's the case, assuming he gets like a 6-game suspension, I'm going to dump them down to good. Assuming Kamara gets suspended, I think they're just good. Okay, we got the New York Giants with Saquon Barkley holding out for a contract. Then they got Matt Breida, who I actually kind of like, but he's old now, isn't he? Only 28. Not a ton of miles on him either. But he's always been like a passable backup running back, although the days of him being like a prolific backup, that was a while ago. Eric Gray, rookie, who I didn't like that much. Gary Brightwell didn't do much last year. Ugh. Yeah, God, this one's so tough because there's so much weird stuff going on with Barkley, right? Like Barkley might be holding out. If he does play, he's probably going to get hurt because he always gets hurt. Did have 1,600 yards a game last year, 10 touchdowns. He's only 26. Oh boy. This is tough. Saquon's way too good for them to be average or bad, Tan Fam. Like at the end of the day, your top running back matters. So I mean, to say it matters way more than anything else. I don't know, man. This one's really hard. This might be the hardest one yet. New York Giants. Are they good? Should I just put them in good? They'd be great if Saquon was more of a sure thing. I'm gonna put them in good though. If Barkley wasn't super injury prone and also holding out, I think they would be great. Okay. New York Jets. Brees Hall, who I really like. I'm a big Brees Hall fan. I think he is better than K9. Although the injury has kind of. Now we don't know, right? He might never be the same. They got Michael Carter, the other Michael Carter, who has been pretty decent. Not very efficient, though, in his career. Pretty good pass catcher, too. So that's a nice backup. And they have one of my favorite rookies, Israel Abanikanda. Like that guy. He ran some superhuman 40 time. I like their depth. I think Brees Hall has superstar potential. I would definitely go great. No, okay. I would go elite if not for the Brees Hall injury. So I'm going to go great. I'm going to say great. And if Brees Hall is just 100% back, like Adrian Peterson style, I think they're elite, but I'm going to put them in great for now. Okay. Philadelphia Eagles. Keep in mind, their quarterback inflates their running backs to look better than they actually are. So you've got DeAndre Swift, who gets hurt a lot but is good. Let me see what's going on with Swift here. Okay, he's actually only 24, so that's fine. Um, been fairly productive, good receiver out of the backfield, nice player, but just struggles to stay on the field. They got Rashad Penny. We know all about Rashad Penny. I don't need to tell you guys what's going on there. Same boat as DeAndre Swift, kind of. Kenneth Gainwell, he's like okay. And then Boston Scott, actually. Boston Scott's shown some stuff. They'd be elite if everybody was healthy, but the odds of everyone being healthy with Swift and Penny, that might be enough to knock them all the way down to good. Like, I feel like if you were getting those guys and they were like reliable health wise, I think they're good. I'm going to say they're good. They would be elite if they were guaranteed that everybody was going to be relatively healthy, but yeah, I'm going to put them in good. Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, what do we got here? Najee Harris, who I don't think Najee Harris is all that. Yeah, he averages 3.9 yards a carry. He's been productive, and he is a pretty good pass catcher, but like he's not very efficient. He's a good running back, I guess you could say. Jalen Warren. We got Jalen Warren here. He actually gave them some pretty good burn last year, almost 600 yards from scrimmage, efficient. So that's a good backup. Anthony McFarland Jr., Booger McFarland's son. Yeah, Booger McFarland's son hasn't done much. And then their fourth string is some guy named Jason Huntley. Let me check. Nothing really. So I think Harris and Warren might be enough for them to be good. They're either good or average. I mean, I got to give Najee credit. He's been productive, right? I don't think he's very efficient. I'm not a big fan of his. Uh, good or average? A lot of people in the chat saying average. They're like on the good end of average, I think. Okay, Seahawks. Okay, Seattle Seahawks. I think we know what's going on here. Got K9 starting. Really nice rookie year for K9. Relatively efficient, good production. Not a great pass catcher, but could develop that this year, of course. Charbonnet, rookie, should be productive. McIntosh, rookie. DJ Dallas, relatively productive. Um, that's got to be pretty great, right? Like, let me check something here with DJ Dallas. Like DJ Dallas hasn't really had that one like standout season where he even had like 400 yards. He is kind of just a guy, but he's been efficient the last couple years. Like last year, he averaged over 5 yards a carry. They're either good or great. I'm gonna put them in great. I think they're great. The thing is, like the league wide, people are not really going to take Kenny McIntosh that seriously until he does something, right? Like every team in the league has guys like Kenny McIntosh on their roster that need to actually go do something to prove it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say they're great. San Francisco. They got CMC, one of the best running backs in the league, although obviously there are some real concerns there with health and age. Elijah Mitchell, really good in 2021. Last year he didn't play that much, but that's a really good young running back. And then Jordan Mason, Tyrion Davis Price. Jordan Mason actually was pretty good last year. Okay, I don't even need to look at the rest. The Niners are elite. The Niners are probably the second best after the Falcons, right? Niners are yeah, Niners are about as good as the Falcons, I would say. Yeah. All right, Tennessee Titans, and this is going to be another really hard one, right? Because they got Derrick Henry, who is one of the best running backs in the league. But where's the cliff, man? The cliff is coming, right? He's 29 and he's going to turn 30 in like week 17. He's at, what is he at? He is almost at 1,900 career touches. Cliff is coming. Behind him, they have Tyjae Spears. Rookie, who I do like a lot for whatever that's worth. But he was what, a third round pick? Yeah. And then Hassan Haskins, I remember this guy ran like a 4.740 or something. What did he do last year? Basically nothing. I think Derrick Henry by himself is worthy of good, but not great. And there isn't a whole lot else. So I'm just going to toss him in good. And then we have the football team or the Generals or whatever. They got Brian Robinson Jr., the Alabama guy who got shot and actually made a comeback last year, 800 yards rushing. Antonio Gibson, Chris Rodriguez Jr., who I like. That's pretty nice, man. I don't know if Brian Robinson Jr. has any star potential left because he got shot, but Antonio Gibson has had some really nice years. I don't know. Is that great? I like this. Okay. some people in the chat are saying they're bad. Like, okay, they got Brian Robinson Jr., who had a good rookie year. Antonio Gibson had 1,300 yards from scrimmage 2 years ago, and then last year he just didn't get as much attention for some reason. I guess he's not that efficient, though, now that I'm looking at it. And then they got the Kentucky guy, Chris Rodriguez Jr., who I'm fond of. I don't know. I don't think they're bad. Nice, nice. Thanks. Maybe they're good, but I don't think Gibson isn't what he used to be. That may be true. Okay. You guys are kind of talking me into it here. So we're assuming that like Robinson and Gibson are both kind of like not what they used to be. I'm going to just hedge my bets here and put them in average for now. Gibson's not old. Gibson is 20. He's going to be 25 this year. That's the thing. That's why I kind of feel like I don't want to bet against him. Part of me wants to put him in good. Okay, so that's everybody. So we have 3 elite running back teams: Falcons, Niners, Colts. Great teams: Bears, Lions, Packers, Raiders, Jets, Seahawks. Let's try to put like them kind of in order. Like I think Green Bay's probably the best in the great tier. No, wait. No, okay, Jets. Yeah, that's kind of in order for me. I'm going to put the Giants at the top of the good tier because of the potential. Browns. Something like that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to put the Texans higher. I actually like what they're doing. Bengals, I think, need to be on the low side of average. So how many teams do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 teams in the top half and then 13 teams in the bottom half. That's not perfectly balanced, but it's close. The Ravens being in average does make some sense when you consider the fact that they all look better than they should because of Lamar and also because of health. So I might bump them down here. But I don't know. I think the rest is fine. I think the rest makes sense. Like, if you were to draw, like, the median point, it would be right near the bottom end of good. And then maybe the words would get switched around a little bit. Like, maybe this would be, instead of average, this would be, like, mid. Isn't that what the Zoomers say? When they say something is mid, they don't actually mean it's mid. They mean it's kind of bad, but not terrible. Well, Glizzy, if the Bengals release Joe Mixon, I think they're terrible. I think you shove them to terrible. But for the moment, they have Mixon, so I'm not going to do that quite yet. Okay, I like it. I think it's pretty solid. I mean, it makes sense, right? That there would be a lot of teams that are just kind of hanging out in this good to average area. That's where most teams kind of live. Would I bump up the Broncos if they got Dalvin? Oh, yeah. If the Broncos get Dalvin, they might be elite because then it doesn't matter that much if Javante's not 100% back. The Broncos become, I think, a top 4 running back room if they get Dalvin. Okay, so I think that's the tier list. Falcons, Niners, Colts in elite. Great. Packers, Jets, Bears, Seahawks, Lions, Raiders. Good. Giants, Titans, Eagles, Texans, Broncos, Browns, Panthers, Patriots, Saints. Average. Ravens, Bills, Cowboys, Jaguars, Chiefs, Steelers, Commanders, Bengals. Bad. Cardinals, Chargers, Dolphins, terrible. Buccaneers, Rams, Vikings. I'm going to go ahead and download this. Uh-oh. Mariners are going to give it up. Okay. So that was fun, guys. It seems like people kind of liked it. So probably what I'm going to do is next week, I'm going to do another one for wide receivers. And that one's going to be even harder, probably. But thanks everybody for coming out. I wanted to do some kind of YouTube stream because it's been a while since my last YouTube stream. But it basically took an hour to put together the list. So that's pretty good. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys. Actually, before I leave, I'm doing the Final Fantasy 16 demo on Twitch tonight. In fact, after this stream ends, I'm probably going to go get it. And I'm going to install it, and then I'm going to do it on Twitch tonight. Should just take a few hours. I imagine I'll get through the whole thing tonight. So if you want to watch me do that, tune into me on Twitch. Link in the description. Seahawks Brendan Nelson on Twitch. So come watch, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. And we'll do this again in a week and see if people continue to like it. So thanks for coming out, everybody. See you guys later. Go Hawks.